Hello, thanks for tuning in. I'm a single dad bringing up a son. He'll be 13 next May. He's 12 at the moment, going on 15. It feels like that some days. And yet he's just a beautiful, innocent boy. And, as a parent, I'm trying to help him navigate the waters he is about to swim when he goes it alone. And the waters can be stormy and the waters can be smooth. And we'd all like the world to be full, the oceans to be smooth all the time, but that's not the way life is. Storms come at us. And storms, no doubt, will come at my boy. And one of the things I have to help him navigate is the beast. I mean, I can bring him up and, and guide him and, help to refine him, help him to understand his own nature and so on. But he's up against the beast. He's up against the media, he's up against celebrity, he's up against the circus, he's up against the world, he's up against the devil basically, the tongue of the devil. We all are on this day, especially here in the West. And the way we see reality, the way we see ourselves in relation to this corrupt mirror is hurting all of us. And I have to help guide my son along a path where I can minimize the damage that the devil can do to his beautiful heart and mind. And this is the case for so many young people. I mean, how many young people are depressed out there? I was on the train last week and I was travelling down to Wimbledon on the tube, and a young girl sat in beside me. She was about 19 and she took out her phone, and we're all a little bit nosy sometimes, and I kind of looked to my left just to look at her phone, and I saw that she was looking at supermodels. And she was swiping, and she'd look for 2 seconds and swiped, and she'd look for 2 seconds, swipe, maybe 3 seconds, and swipe back and look again and swipe. So I found myself, I kept looking at the phone. I just couldn't unbeknownst to her, I was watching the phone, because I was amazed at this mirror she was stuck in, this young girl, this beautiful young girl, and she was lost. And by the time I travelled the 25 minutes on the train, I mean, honestly, she'd looked at 400 images, swipe, swipe. And every single one of them were supermodel standard, this unattainable standard. And I couldn't imagine my son looking in a mirror like that, having to, using his phone. He doesn't have a phone yet, but using a phone and swiping it every time he saw a bodybuilder and this perfect idea of the perfect man, and swipe, swipe. And all it is telling him is, you're not that, swipe, you're not that, you're not that. And all these images of success, and the idea that we're sold this idea of you're a loser. If you're not a winner, you're a loser. That's such ugly language. That's such dirty. I tell my son that's dirty language. Parents are always correcting their children for using bad language. Well, I correct my child too when he's lost in those frameworks of thought, and I tell him that's bad language. Like whenever he sees in a movie, say a man is being aggressive towards a woman, I always say that's a weak state of the masculine. That's the weakest state you can be in. War is the weakest state, and so on. So I correct his mind around what dirty notions of language are. And this is important for his well-being, for his upbringing. So anyway, this young girl was lost in this mirror. Now, I'm not saying she's just that. Who knows? Maybe she's a budding scientist and she's going to be a new Einstein and fabulous. But there are many young girls and young boys lost in the ugly devil's mirror. And, it's always in reflection of what they are not. That seems to be the case. It's always in reflection of what they are not. And, we're sold this idea that, you can be anything you want. But I'd rather sell the idea that you can be everything that you already are. Okay, the things that you already are, because the things that you already are is what gives you measurement. You can be a polite person. That's something you already are. It's not something you have to attain. If you're 5 foot, you cannot be 6 foot. Okay, there are many professions out there that some of us are not built to attain. Okay, we're always told we're not losers because some of us don't have the discipline to become world-class athletes, or we don't have the discipline to become world-class brain surgeons. Okay, but that doesn't mean we're less than in any way whatsoever. Somebody can become something doesn't mean you are less than in reflection too, because what you already are is a human being with a transcendental mindset. And that gives you magnitude, that gives you status. And to understand the system within, to understand the system and how it connects up to the whole ecology of life and your heart and so on, to understand the magnitude of that is what gives you measure. Now, the idea that you can have integrity, the idea you can be a moral person is something that you already are. It's a path you have to choose. And this is what gives you wealth. This is what gives you status. This is what makes you a refined human being. This is what gives you magnitude. This is what makes you a giant among the whole. So this is what I tell my son, to help guide him. And I believe all young people should be told this, okay, what you already are. I mean, I'm not saying a rich person can't be moral, but I would much rather be a moral person than a rich person if I could only choose one of the two. Okay, I believe most of you will believe, see it that way. I would rather have integrity. I would rather have honor. I would rather not have a single lie in my life, and I don't, than be a billionaire. Okay, that doesn't mean anything to me. Okay, morality, the idea, imagine being a rich billionaire, but you died and everyone thought you were an immoral man or woman. I mean, what a shadow to be tainted with. I don't want to walk that path, and I don't want to walk the path of false, fake celebrity. And what an ugly, to be the Kardashians, is that what they're called? And just to sell tits and ass to the world. To sell tits and ass to the world. And my God, talk about clowns at the circus. Not that they couldn't be beautiful human beings, not that they're not nice human beings in their own right, but they're just lost kids who got caught up in the devil's circus and so on. And now they're selling mediocrity to us. Worship no false idols, 10 million false idols. There's so many false idols that we all worship. And we lose sight of ourselves in those corrupt mirrors. Okay, so anyway, yes. So magnitude. Magnitude, I'm always talking about the modes of the mind and the modes that give us, magnitude as human beings. I mean, if a meteorite hits our planet and it'll destroy all life on Earth, we understand the magnitude of that impact. If a nuclear bomb goes off in London City, it'll take out 2/3 of the city and kill 3 million people. We all can grasp the magnitude of that. We can understand the magnitude of the rainforests and how they serve the planet. We can understand the magnitude of insects, the magnitudes of plants, the magnitude of evolution, the magnitude of equality, the magnitude of morality. Magnitude is part of our lives. I always tell my son this, okay, you understand magnitude. Okay, and that gives you stature, that gives you measure as a human being. Okay, the idea that you understand magnitude, the magnitude of the cell, the magnitude of war, the magnitude of transcendental thought. Okay, this is a phenomenal measure of us, and you don't need to be measured up against false measurements. You don't need to own a house to have this kind of measure. You don't need to own a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. You don't need to own a diamond ring. You don't need to be 6 foot tall to understand you have magnitude, that you understand magnitude. Okay, that's a measure of you. And all the modes give us measure. And I'm always trying to give measure to our species. I'm always trying to give transcendental, monumental measure to our species, because, we have to come back together as a collective head. And to come back together, we have to understand what's coming back to the table. Okay, and I don't care, like I said, whatever path you go on. But if you don't have morality, if you don't have honor, if you don't have integrity, you're not a refined person. And if you're not a refined person, what are you in the face of all things? So yes, I believe this is what we should tell our children and adults. Adults are lost too, So you have worth, and people just want to be witnessed, okay? And we're scattered. I like it when Ian McGilchrist, I've been getting into his work, and he's a phenomenal human being, but he said something really profoundly beautiful recently. He said, if you have no depth, you're isolated. Okay, no depth of thought. If you can't think with the collective network that we all are, if you can't think with the interconnectivity of everything that we are, if you can't think with the magnitude of that, then you are without depth. And if you are without depth, then you're lost, you're isolated, you're compartmentalized, you don't know, you're a bee lost from the hive. Worse than that, we're all scattered from the hive, but some of us know there is a hive, that we are all part of a collective head, a collective hive. But if you don't even know there's a hive, I mean, how isolated, how lost are you? So you need depth, the idea. But you have depth. You have depth. You understand what I'm saying. You understand the importance of integrity and honor, to live life without a lie. That's depth. You understand the importance of family. You understand the importance of being witness and having worth, okay, and affirming each other. That gives you depth. You understand the idea of the village and holding everybody up as sacred is sacred to us. That is depth. Okay, so you're a lot deeper than you realize. Okay, you're a lot deeper than you realize. But if you float out there in the devil's circus, if you live in the devil's window, in the devil's mirror, you'll never find your way back to the circle. You'll never find your way back to a complete sense of feeling whole and feeling like an important, beautiful being of worth and measure and so on. So yeah, I hope you've gotten something from that. Just streaming with it because I'm in the mood to stream with it. Anyway, I'm going back now to my chair. I'm going to sit in the sunshine for a while and have a cup of tea and eat 5 cakes and just ponder the universe and ponder how much I love my son. Peace and love and logic.